This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are, thank you for downloading once again. My name is Amanda. I want to start this week by thanking people who have reached out to me, both through direct messaging on X or Twitter or via other means, for the nice comments about last week's show. I must admit, was kind of nervous. Never done a show by myself before. So thank you so much. And I will do my best to improve week by week. But thank you. It really means a lot. Especially thank you for those of you who made comments about my accent. This is my phone voice. I'm trying very hard not to drop too many T's and sound too much like something out of Mary Poppins. And I'm trying not to use too much British slang, so apologies if I do that. But so far, seems to be so good. It struck me when I finished recording last week that I didn't really give you any kind of intro to me or myself. It also struck me that you guys might not be particularly interested in that. I think I was so excited to get into the show. It was so good last week at the Madison Square Gardens that I didn't even really properly give you an intro. So obviously I live in the UK and it is currently typically a midsummer's day here and it's absolutely peeing down outside. So apologies if it sounds like I have a shower running. I don't. I'm just enjoying the British summer. I'm about 50 miles outside of London, so far enough outside of the city that sometimes my internet gets very ropey. I pretty much teenagered through the Attitude Era, and I loved all the classic superstars of that time. I am a strictly WWE only girl. I've never watched AEW or any of the other excellent products that are out there at the moment. I tend to stick mostly to Raw and SmackDown. I do occasionally dip into NXT, but not as a regular watcher. But I have got a bit more time on my hands at the moment, so the next port of call for watching a bit more wrestling will be to get a bit more into NXT. I say strictly WWE, unless you count the wrestling that used to be on ITV, which is a British terrestrial channel, on Saturday afternoons when I was about 5. Please follow me on Twitter if you want to have some banter or some wrestling chat in the week. I am on at Amanda SD Pod. Gonna say it again because I think a few people didn't catch it last week. Again, probably my fault for gabbling on too fast. I am at Amanda SD Pod. So it's been a pretty serious week over here in the UK with our football team or soccer team mostly sucking at the Euros, and a small matter of a landslide general election. We've all been adulting very much this week, so we definitely want some wrestling to fun up the end of our week. Did you guys catch the documentary yet? The Behind the Curtain, much anticipated documentary from WrestleMania. I thought it was good. I watched it last night before coming on to record this morning. I thought it was a good insight. I love anything that gives me a peek behind the curtain and to have a look at what really goes on with these things. I don't think there was that many revelations in it, but it was really enjoyable. And it just turns out that for anyone who is suffering from imposter syndrome, like I'm sure we all do. I do in my day job sometimes. You always think, someday someone is going to figure out I don't really know what I'm doing. Just goes to show that if Triple H and the massive corporation that is WWE can not know what they're doing, everyone is just blagging it. So don't worry. But, I mean, what a great blag. It turned out to be an awesome WrestleMania, a great program, and we're still reaping the rewards from it now. So if you haven't checked that out on YouTube, do. It's well worth an hour of your time. Really enjoyable and really good insight. And I must say, one of the opening shots with Cody out for a run with his dog did make me think, God, Matt's going to love that bit. He loves that dog. So, without further ado, let's talk about what you're all here to listen to, which is the SmackDown review, which aired Friday, the 5th of July 2024, from the Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto. So we open the show tonight with Cody, KO and Randy walking together toward the ring by way of hyping the match at Money in the Bank. And we then get told that Solo and the new Bloodline, Modern Bloodline, Bloodline 2.0 are here in Toronto, and they're going to offer us an explanation into their actions last week where they decimated Paul Heyman. And I think that's probably what we've all wanted all week. We're dying for a bit of info on that. So we start off the evening proper with main event Jey Uso coming down to the ring. As always, the crowd are super into him, and Toronto is yeeting its arse off. He starts off making a joke about actually being allowed into Canada, which I thought was quite funny, and because I guess he's got a criminal record in the US and that prohibits people crossing the border into Canada. I assume, I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. So that was funny. We do like it when real life comes into our WWE. He starts hyping his chances for Money in the Bank, and then we hit LA Knight's music. And someone actually said to me on Twitter this week what they were expecting from this episode was some kind of standoff with all the competitors. So shocking. Could this be that moment as LA Knight makes his way down to the ring? So LA Knight cuts a promo on Jey, and he is yeeting, and there is Jey yeeting, and the Toronto crowd are getting very into it. And the moment you know they're very serious is where they both take their sunglasses off and give a ferocious yeet and a ferocious yeah. It's a nice touch. Quite funny. Carmelo then comes down to the ring to play the party pooper. As I said last week, he's a very, very, very confident young man. Toronto doesn't seem that interested in him. He says that Toronto isn't interested in the yeets and the yeahs, but the crowd definitely seem to disagree with him. And then we get Chad Gable coming down, the crowd giving the full Kurt Angle treatment. You suck, you suck, you suck. And he starts telling his sad little story about his family abandoning him. And he's mentioning the White Six. I'm thinking to myself, well, no one has told Chad Gable the rules of WWE that if you mention other people's names, they come out. And I was thinking, oh man, I hope they come. They didn't. But still. So there's Chad telling his sad little story. He's mid-promo, and out comes Andrade. I really like Andrade, and he is right in the middle of talking about how dangerous the Money in the Bank match is when Drew comes out. And again, the Toronto crowd getting right into it, shouting, giving it the CM Punk chants, which seems to genuinely annoy Drew. And I've got to tell you, despite Drew being from the UK, or Scotland to be more specific. Not a big Drew fan, which might be a bit controversial, but I never have been. I don't know why, just one of those things, not a big fan. So the crowd giving it the full CM Punk, and Drew says he expected better from a member of the Commonwealth. And I'm like, no, Drew, you can't say that. We don't say these things. We are not cool with that. But he does, and this is predictably met by huge boos. And he's still showing off that bracelet with AJ and Larry the dog name on it. Drew gets in the ring, cuts promos on each of the other guys, and then Andrade's had enough. Kicks off, a little brawl ensues, nothing too spectacular, and then I guess they want to keep their powder dry for tomorrow night. Just as it looks like Drew is getting things in control in the ring, we get Jay and LA Knight kicking him out. Kind of predictable opening segment, but always fun and nice to see all the guys from the match together before the Money in the Bank. But as I said, really not a surprise. We then go backstage where we see Jackie Redmond, who has an interview with Bayley. We're reminded that last year she won the Women's Money in the Bank. Once again, guys, like I said last week, something just feels kind of weird with Bayley's promo. It doesn't feel natural. I don't know if that's whether she's not comfortable in her character or whether she hasn't got much creative control at the moment. It just doesn't feel right, and I know she can do better because she's a great talent. So we get Chelsea Green appearing here, and she comes in giving it full on Chelsea. And I tell you what, here, I did not realise how much taller Chelsea Green is than Bayley. Maybe she's got some mega heels on at the moment, but she is much, much taller. She is giving Chelsea the smack talk. And just as they are getting into it verbally, Bayley gets jumped by Piper. And Chelsea says she's going to be Miss Money in the Bank. And next time Piper jumps her, it'll be for when Chelsea cashes in on Bayley and wins the title. A nice little segment. Again, great to see Bayley on TV. But once again, not really quite sure what they are doing or where they're going with it. Although I think maybe we get some clues a bit later on. We'll circle back round to that. So this brings us to our first match of the evening, which is some tag team action. And we've got the Street Profits with B-Fab against Pretty Deadly, which was set up last week. But when we come back from the break, we see Bayley coming out of Nick Alders' office, or Oblivion the Gladiator, as I like to call him, bumping into Naomi and telling us that it's okay, she's got a match with Piper Niven later on. And Naomi reminds Bayley she's got her back. Again, a little bit awkward and weird, but storytelling, so there we go. Back to the ring, we get Pretty Deadly making their entrance. I love these guys. They are so much fun, even though it did look like they were wearing outfits made out of my nan's curtains. Just such fun. It was a good start to the match, starting out pretty equal, and the Street Profits start taking over. They're very athletic, but some Healy behaviour by Pretty Deadly means that they get the advantage as we go into the break. Randomly, when we get back, Dawkins has got one of Pretty Deadly in a cover. I don't know how it works out for you guys elsewhere around the world, but this happens to us with UK coverage quite a lot. So this is not where we left it, where before the break, and then we come back and it's completely turned around. It annoys me a little bit. What happened? How did that happen? It just loses the thread a bit, takes you out of the moment. I don't know if in the US you guys have got like picture in picture so you can maybe see what's going on while the breaks are on. It's just a small thing that annoys me a bit. Anyway, Dawkins is looking for a tag, and so far we haven't seen Montez Ford at all in this match yet. Ford finally gets into the ring, and as you'd expect, we get some pretty amazing offense. This guy is another level athletically. I'm really looking forward to if and when he ever gets a singles run. He is he's really talented. We get a blind tag and Pretty Deadly pull the super duperplex on Montez, but he's not the legal guy. And then that follows some pretty high-flying moves from the Profits, specifically Montez Ford. And they take the 3 count following a huge splash off the top rope. It's a nice match. It was a good match. I like both these teams. I really hope they can both start getting a push. There seems to be a bit more oomph behind the tag team division as a whole now. So I'm really hoping that both those teams can get a push, and hopefully we do get to see Montez Ford on a single run sometime soon as well. So we go backstage for a segment. We see Grayson Waller warming up. Austin Theory comes along. He just wants to make sure they're both on the same page. He says he's been thinking about what Johnny said last week, but Grayson Waller is quick to discount it, listing all the achievements that Theory has made since he got rid of Johnny, which, to be fair, is a decent point. Clearly some seeds have been sown with Theory, and he's obviously not quite sure where he stands, and that sets us up nicely for our tag team championship match later on. But definitely WWE sowing seeds of we're not quite sure where we are with these guys. We then go out to the commentary team, giving us a build-up to Solo and the new Bloodline coming out and explaining their acts from last week, which I think we are all very much looking forward to. We come back from another break and we've got more tag team action, this time with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. We see them making their way to the ring, and they don't get a great crowd reaction. It's pretty mooted. Then we cut to a recap of last week's actions surrounding the new Bloodline. And as always with WWE, their video packages or vignettes for their look backs are exceptional. And I'm reminded of just how rough Paul Heyman made himself look last week. I hadn't realised this at the time of recording last week, but apparently he actually didn't sleep. And he was deliberately looking as dishevelled as he was. And what a pro, what a guy. In storyline, also, I hadn't mentioned this last week, but in storyline, he actually went to the hospital after the assault last week. And as I said, I only picked that up after the show on Twitter. Again, a really nice touch. So we had that recap, and then we cut back to the ring where we have the women's tag team match. So we already have Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae in the ring, and their opponents are Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They both get great response from their entrances. As last week, these two are both incredibly over. We go to another break, and when we get back from the break, the match is already underway. I really hope that they let Jade continue building her confidence. As I said last week, I think last week's match was really solid, and probably gave her a bit of a boost after her previous slightly botchy matches. So it kicks off, and Jade is getting some good offensive moves in, and the guys on commentary making big deal about Candice and Indy having veteran smarts and having the benefit of working together for a long time. And that certainly looks to be the case in the early goings of the match. They're getting in some good moves, some good double teams. You can clearly see the chemistry that is there between them. So then we get a double tag made. Bianca and Candice come into the match at that point. Bianca has a head of steam built up and is kicking the holy wow out of Candice. Bianca pulls off a pretty cool move where she chucks Candice onto Indy and we get a near fall as a result. Off the distraction from Indy, Candice gets a near fall on Bianca. And then we get that pretty cool double finishing move where we get the kiss of death from Bianca and Jaded from Jade Cargill. And this leads to Candice LeRae getting covered and brings about the end of the match. Again, not bad at all. Another solid showing from Jade. Hopefully she's benefiting from working with the experience of Bianca, and they'll allow her to continue developing her confidence probably before they send her on too much of a singles run, I'd say. Hopefully they've got her back on the right track now. She does seem to be improving, and I think this is good for everyone because she has absolutely looks like she has what it takes to be a great superstar. So let's hope they keep her and Bianca together for a wee while longer. We then get a very quick in-ring interview where Jade and Bianca tell Isla and Alba that they want their tag team titles back. Kathy Kelly asks if she feels that this win has got them back on track, and they say yes. We get a little bit more posing and muscle moves, and then that segment ends. Another reminder of the upcoming tag team championship match tonight. They're pushing that hard. And a reminder of Waller being an absolute Healy horror bag, pulling Theory in the way to protect himself. So they're obviously building on that particular area at the moment, and they're trying to signpost us to that. So back from another break, and KO is introduced as Canada's own. He gets a massive pop, as expected. He's on home territory, makes his way to the ring. He is followed by Randy, and this seems like a relatively new thing of the crowd singing his song so loudly that you can hardly hear the audio from the actual soundtrack, which is fantastic. And he gets an amazing reaction, and I just reminded what an absolute legend he is, and how many titles and the work that he's done over his time. I just think Randy's brilliant. We then get Cody coming down, as always. A massive pop. Comes down, does the baby kissing, signing posters and stuff on the way down to the ring. Gets to the ring and he asks, "Hey, Toronto, what do you want to talk about?" And he goes on to answer his own question. Cody says, "We've had enough from this modern bloodline. They've asked for a fight and they are ready for a fight." We then get a bit of what I think is, as Damian Priest would say, real talk. KO says he doesn't want to talk about fighting the bloodline, which he has done for the past 4 years. He wants to talk about the last 4 days. He said he had to rush home earlier this week because his mum has been taken ill to hospital. He certainly looks a little bit shook up and not on usual form. So I think it's real. That's pretty sad. I hope she'll be okay, whatever's got her in hospital. He says his mum and dad won't be at the match tomorrow, but KO will be fighting like his mum always told him to fight like hell. He seems absolutely pumped, furious, and ready to rock and roll. If I was the bloodline, I'd actually be a little bit scared because KO does not look like he's taking any prisoners. So then we've got a women's match. Out comes Bayley, coming down to the ring with her quote unquote best friend Naomi, which is fun. We cut to the crowd and we've got Io Sky looking pantomime villain Cross. And then here comes Piper down to the ring. silently looking mean and brutal. And then we have Chelsea in tow, chopsing off in the background. I love it. I love Chelsea. She's great. Piper gets in some early offence. She's actually quite devastating. She's got the big woman abilities of, for example, Nia Jax, but she's also pretty athletic, and I think she's a lethal mix. So I'm really enjoying watching Piper at this time. Bayley is trying to fight back, and Piper pulls off a pretty cool move by sliding Bayley around the ring post and hitting her head on the ring post, which is pretty cool. Not sure I've seen that one before. We come back from the break, and again Bayley's managed to turn things around, and as I said earlier, that's annoying. We don't know how, but at this point now she's getting some good moves in. We go to the crowd. We've got Zoe Stark. We've got Lyra Valkyria. And then Tiffany Stratton comes strutting down, straight down the aisle to the ring. So basically here we've got the same setup as we had with the guys earlier. But I guess you could say in slightly more organic way, we've now got all the competitors for tomorrow's women's Money in the Bank match in and around and involved in this match. Bayley looks to be starting a fight back. Naomi's trying to get the crowd wound off and ends up in a face-off with Chelsea. They trade some blows on the outside, and then we get Io, Lyra and Zoe all getting involved. Tiffany launches an absolutely epic Prettiest Moonsault from the top of the ring post to the outside. It's absolutely absolutely beautiful, brilliant. This distracts Bayley, but she eventually gets the upper hand, hits the rose plant and gets the cover on Piper and takes the win, probably quite correctly. Interestingly here, Wade mentions on commentary that Bayley can't really trust anyone at the moment, even her quote-unquote best friend Naomi. So I'm wondering, are we being lined up for a possible heel turn from Naomi and then a subsequent program with Bayley? Now, I'm not sure. I don't have the greatest memory of all time, but I'm not sure we've ever seen Naomi as a heel character. Certainly not in recent memory. So I think that would be really interesting. So does Naomi at some point win Money in the Bank, get a title shot against Bayley in the face role? I hope so, and I hope that's what all this weird, awkward backstage stuff has been leading to, because I think that would be interesting, and that's an angle that we haven't seen before. So that is what my hope is with that. We then get Nia Jax, and I actually didn't see where she came from, but she starts to beat Bayley down, presumably building towards their SummerSlam match. And out comes Michin. She's got a new look, which I quite like. She is helping out Bayley. She has a kendo stick and gives Nia a bit of a beating, which basically saves Bayley from getting put through the ring by Nia. I'm always really pleased when the women's division is getting hyped up like this, and it's really nice to see the crossovers, that we didn't just get the old faithful Money in the Bank people standing in the ring, one by one coming out. It was slightly more organic with this, but I also like we've got Bayley involved, we've got Michin involved, we've got Nia, so it's broadening out the Money in the Bank picture, and I think this can only mean good things. So I think it's really positive. I hope they're going to figure out a way they can use Michin better than what they have previously. So I think things are looking good for the women's division here. We've got a couple of matches being advertised ready for next week, and we've got Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Angel and Berto. Being advertised, which should be an interesting match. We then go backstage with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, reminding us how important this arena is to them, both as a tag team and individually for Johnny, who I hadn't realised, but this arena is where he made his return to WWE after his couple years away. So they then, they're obviously making their way to the ring. Out come the champs, A-Town Down Under, Waller ripping up signs for DIY on the way to the ring. I mean, he's just an awesome heel. It's just such fun. I love good heelery. It's a good laugh. So right from the start of this match, it all breaks down pretty early. Both members from both teams in the ring. As we come back from the break, again, it looks like somehow some kind of magic occurred while we were away on the break. And DIY are pretty much in charge. Momentum moves to the champs with some quick tags in and out. Very impressive. Waller is very athletic, and Austin Theory obviously very talented. So these two are a really great team together. We get Johnny outside the ring, and Johnny pulls off an amazing move outside the ring, which Wade says is like a Cleveland Destroyer. And Waller selling that like an absolute trooper. Austin Theory comes to help outside the ring, and we get a couple of near falls for DIY and one for the champions. Waller tries to get rid of Tommaso Ciampa from the apron ring, and while the ref is distracted, they try and take advantage and beat down Johnny. However, it only goes and happens again. Waller swings, Johnny ducks, and Waller takes out Theory. This leads again to a super close call and another couple in succession of really, really close calls. And this was really exciting. We were thinking, surely these tag teams can't change hands on normal TV. But maybe they will, maybe they won't. And it was great. Really good match. Loads and loads of back and forth. Some really athletic moves from everyone. These two tag teams working together beautifully. Once again, we get Waller saving himself and sacrificing Theory. And then we arrive at Gargano applying his submission move to Waller. Theory trying to stop him tapping, but then Ciampa applies the same hold, and eventually Waller taps. And we have new tag team champs. The crowd go off. And I'm really pleased for DIY. They seem to me to be typical of the Triple H era and the product that we have now, where we have a very slow introduction and build. At first, when DIY were introduced as a team, the crowd were cool. Then over time, they've been allowed to build and slowly getting support from the crowd. And now the crowd are really hot for them, absolutely loving their work, both inside and outside the ring, and they've been given time, and that's resulted in this tag team champs win, which is brilliant. Really, really great stuff. And one of the things that I'm really enjoying about the Triple H era is that we aren't just getting people thrown at us and told, love these people because I tell you to. You really got a chance to know these people. I'm really looking forward to seeing Waller and Theory descend into a fun rivalry and presumably the face turn of Theory. Which I think that whole thing is just going to be brilliant, because these two guys are athletic. They can both cut a great promo. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be ace. And then we get to the moment that we've mostly been waiting for, where Solo explains, or does he? We get a very moodily lit, as I said last week, kind of sepia tones vignette. And Solo is explaining that now he has the necklace that makes him the real tribal chief. He says this is not what he wanted, but Roman Reigns was not man enough to defend their title, and this is what the family needs. He says he's coming for Cody Rhodes, and he will show everyone at the 6-man tag how brutal he can be. He says there is nothing anyone can do to stop him, and he includes Roman in that. So this looks to me like we're setting up the Roman return beautifully. The only question really is when. Are the Usos going to reunite and help and form the original Bloodline? And where does Rock fit in? Because in the documentary, and when you guys have an opportunity to watch it, it certainly seemed to me that Rock is really keen to have the Rock Roman match. So will Rock be on the modern Bloodline side when he comes back? And is that how we get that match? What will happen? Will Solo beat Cody? How does this work? We have so many questions. What we do know for sure is that WWE and SmackDown especially is on fire right now, and I am absolutely loving it. Can't wait to see how this pans out and how we get on. So just to really quickly talk about Money in the Bank, because as I record this on Saturday morning, having just got up early and watched last night's SmackDown, Money in the Bank hasn't happened yet. My picks would be LA Knight for the men's match, Tiffany Stratton for the ladies match, Seth to get the title back against Priest, meaning Priest leaves the Judgment Day, which sets up that rivalry and some pretty awesome matches there, but also, more importantly, leaving the door fully open for Liv to sidle him. And then that opens up the whole Rhea Liv program as well. I think Bron Breakker will lose to Sammy, but I think there will be some shenanigans. Could it be Brock? We know he is around. He's back allegedly. Are we going to see Brock here? Or are we saving Brock for something to do with Heyman? Will Brock come back in defense of Heyman? I don't know. I think the Bloodline beat Cody, Randy and KO, and I think there is some nastiness after the match, bit of afters, and is that the moment where Roman returns? Or are we kept waiting for SummerSlam, which actually isn't that far away anyway? Hey, look, all I know is I think it's going to be another awesome another awesome PLE, Money in the Bank. I think it's going to be really exciting. It's always one of my favourites. I think it's just a very fun concept, and I really enjoy it. All in all, for a go-home version of SmackDown, I thought it was pretty good. Things got progressed. We also had the massive tag team title change as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, all in all, I thought a good episode. Listen, guys, thank you for having me in your ears again this week. Reach out on Twitter or X. I am at Amanda SD Pod on there. So reach out. We can have some wrestling chat in the week. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are for Money in the Bank, both before and after. Once again, everybody, have a great week. I will see you next time. And remember to be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.